Showtime. It's the pre-party with J. Cal.
We are professional wrestling.
I'm building an alliance.
You are tuned into
the absolute top of the mountain, the ultimate professional wrestling.
Alliance-wrestling.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, welcome to the pre-party, a presentation of Alliance-wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information of the National Wrestling Alliance. I am not J. Cal. The boss has taken a knee tonight. He's decided to take the evening off, and he has, perhaps foolishly, as we'll all find out over the next hour, handed the keys for the Alliance-wrestling.com master controls over to me. My name is Tim. I go by NWA Gold. This is the show, of course, in the Hour Before Powerrr, the greatest hour on the web before Powerrr. It is also the show where J. Cal does it all by himself. So I am going to reach out to the chat today even more than I do on the other Alliance Guys podcast, which is tomorrow night. And ask you to please, the NWA fam, the Alliance family, reach out to me over the comments board. Help us all get through this. Just recognizing the chat right now, Kokishi629, what's up, brother? Yes, the pre-party has some wood tonight. The boss is here. He is watching from afar. Our Alliance dad. Watching from on high, making sure that I am doing everything properly. Of course, my mouse just died. Sweet Vanilla, good to see you. Hit Bingo, Konnichiwa. Fiona, hey Fee, thanks for coming. And Pollo Del Mar, it's nice to see you, friend of the Alliance. Great to have you guys here. My mouse is back, so there we go. So this is the pre-party. We'll be talking about the approaching pay-per-view. I think to start, we've got NWA 74, the 74th anniversary coming up. Pollo, thank you. That is an excellent painting. I got that off of Etsy. I love it myself. Yeah, Heebs is here. Dave Scooby's here, my cohort. DKM's here. Thanks everybody for being here. 74 is coming up, the anniversary show. Some of us are calling it a stacked card. I think it's something that we need to talk about. Talk about how TV is going right now for the NWA, and we'll run through that anniversary card, including some exciting new names that have come up, and really, as I mentioned, for TV, how it's looking leading up to it. Maybe a little bit of a different perspective we can agree on. Yeah, Lamb says it's weird not seeing Jay on a Tuesday, but thanks, Lamb. I'll do my best. Yeah, Demon, one of the least talked modern day NWA world champions, one of my favorites. Chris Drummond is here. Thanks, Chris. Boy, this is a packed house. Really appreciate you guys coming here. But getting close to this pay-per-view, as we know, just the way the shooting schedule works in the NWA, we tend to get less and less matches in the can that you might call marquee or premier, and that's understandable. It's what's left with 11 days, I think, left before the pay-per-view. Traditionally, that has meant to us in the past that it's not always that great. You lead with your heavy hitters, but in some cases, it's really, for some perspective I've been giving it this week to myself, it's not all that bad either. And I thought maybe we may talk about that in the chat. Let me get into that first. This is a print, Lamb. Get it on Etsy. If you DM me, I'll send you the guy's name. He's awesome. So good and bad that we're seeing on TV heading into this pay-per-view. And, again, the way that the TV schedules work, where we're doing all this filming well in advance. And there's not a lot that you can do towards the end as we get up onto the pay-per-view. You see some things that, maybe wouldn't excite too many of us. And you see some things that you think, if you put the right perspective on it, really have, can really impress us in different ways. So if you look at like one of the matches in NWA USA very recently, the Country Gentleman versus the Now. So I mean, there's 4 great workers in that ring, 4 guys who want to provide us with as much entertainment as possible. I've probably seen enough of the Country Gentleman for my taste right now, but they're exactly doing, I think, what they should be on the card. The Now I'm excited about. It's kind of give and take for me with the NWA right now. I'm very excited about Hale Collins and Vic Delicious appearing in the NWA. We're seeing more of Kerry Morton all the time, and there's some great potential there. We're seeing more of Ricky Morton all the time recently as well, and nobody loved Ricky Morton more than me as a young man. But some of us, and I would count myself among them, I think maybe we've seen as much as we want to see from a great like Ricky right now. You've got Wrecking Ball Legursky holding down the fort for the Fixers, which I think is great. You've got Jamie Stanley talk segments, which we hear good and bad. Like there's so much potential in Jamie Stanley, America's Jawline. He looks great. He can work. He's funny, so he can do humor. There's a lot of, again, back on the other side. I'm a big Mae Valentine fan, but you're seeing a lot of inconsistency just in the way that she's being presented and what's happening. Poyo says, I see it as simply fleshing out the remainder of the card. Yeah, it's a great point. And that's really what I'm getting to as I'm saying there's some things that are greater than others right now. If you'll give me just a moment, here's another perspective. I can take a break from Ricky Morton. That's from the boss. Yeah. He's so talented and he's so charismatic still on the mic, and there's a place for him in in wrestling. But where I'm going with this is as we say, with the taping schedule being what it was, and there's still some kernels of great entertainment to be found here as we approach the final days of TV and right up to NWA 74. And I think part of that is just featuring all of the young talent that we're seeing right now that we really haven't seen all that much of until very recently. So, whether you're fans or not, and in many of these cases, I certainly am, we're seeing Brady Pierce getting some airtime. Brett Buffshay, Rylee, who I think Joe Galli was calling Roxy. She might be called for that elsewhere in the last couple of weeks. We're seeing, the Freeman brothers, which might be on the other side of that, although I'm a big Rush Freeman guy, on the other side of that particular coin. But they're presenting us something new in their break with the IB boys. And, right out of the blue, and we'll get to it, bam, we saw EC3 is going to be at NWA 74. And whether we can look at EC3 as one of the most exciting talents to come to the National Wrestling Alliance in a significant period of time, or we could choose to say, well, EC3 was exciting at a certain point as a free agent, and maybe he's not so anymore. Again, two sides of this particular coin. We've been seeing Maddie Rankowski or Maddie, just Maddie, in the NWA, who I think is great. Missa Kate, who I think is unbelievably talented. She really impressed me in the last match that they aired on Fight TV. We're going to be seeing Samantha Starr, the daughter of Sam Houston and Baby Doll. And, I don't know anything about her, but I'm excited to see some of these new talents. Team Ambition, I know nothing about. And we'll put some of these names and faces up in a little bit over the next hour. And then, we have Larry D coming to Powerrr tonight. We have Hayley Shadows. Again, it's a new name. It's exciting to me. I'll put some of your comments up here just before I kind of wrap up on this thought. Dave Scooby, lots of matches for 74, but only about half of them have true meaning. The others seem like they could lead somewhere, but are just to fill out the pay-per-view. I 100% agree. I see things on that card like, we'll get to it as we go there, but it's just like, I think it was Tom Latimer versus Scion. I think that was one of them, where you just kind of, okay, why is this happening? But it's an excellent point. Lem asks, so NWA 74 is a weekend 2-day event, right? So except for all the title matches placed on both events, what are the other matches? We're going to get to that. Do they have a story? Or are they just random? It's about half and half, maybe a little bit more than half and half. Poyo says, the biggest names always come first, but the up-and-coming talents need an opportunity, if possible, to shine on NWA's grandest stage too. It could be their breakout moment. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And that's kind of where I'm sort of getting this to, but I just want to throw in the rest of your comments before I do. Hey, Willie's in the house. DKM says some of the matchups between lower card guys have been good in-ring action. Yes, and that's going to be the secondary point, the secondary takeaway I want to talk about in a sec. Again, if we're looking at both sides of the coin and the final days of the tapings here, coming onto our TV screens, we can look at it as like, okay, well, we had Mike Knox versus Devin Graves in a tables match. If you listen to guys like Jim Cornette, they'll explain to you, and I'm hit and miss with Corny, so why would you have a tables match if there's no grudge between the guys? I kind of agree with that, but it's obviously to showcase to us that Mike Knox is going into a tables match with Bully Ray. I don't know how that fits for a one-off with Devin Graves. But you also got Trevor Murdoch versus the Pope. That match being what it was. That is an exciting collision in the ring for the NWA. Back on the other side of that coin, I would argue that Wrecking Ball Legursky versus Ricky Morton was not one of the best offerings that, we'll talk about that one and probably the VSK one tomorrow on the show. But you also get Jordan Clearwater versus Joe Alonzo. I think the upside on Joe Alonzo is, phenomenal. That kid is not going to be in the NWA for long, and I hope that we get to see more of him. And so many other of these talents that I've mentioned, deciding to focus is my first point on that young talent and saying there's something exciting in this for me to watch in the rising new talent. I kind of had the thought that, we must start thinking, we must agree to accept anyway, that the NWA is sort of like watching a major sport minor league team. We know that this is a niche market that we all love, and we are faithful fans of this particular franchise. It's not AEW. It's not WWE. I think most of us raise our hands to the sky and say, thank goodness that that's the case. But with a minor league team, you're seeing the stars of tomorrow today. Whether it's minor league hockey, it's big up here in Canada. No surprise there. Minor league baseball. You're also seeing the stars of yesterday, today as well. And maybe we ought to just enjoy, as much as I have had enough of seeing Ricky Morton, maybe we ought to enjoy it while it lasts. We won't see the Joe Alonzos, the Jordan Clearwaters, for that matter, forever in the NWA. Poyo says the stars of tomorrow today is OVW's catchphrase. I should probably write them a check. I'm not going to. Do we have minor league sports heaps out today? 40-year-old vets? Well, sometimes. I'm not a massive baseball guy, but in my memory, guys who have gone back down for a short period of time on their way out the door kind of end up back in the minors, do they not? When we're being forthright in criticizing the NWA, which we do on this channel, which we must do because we want it to be its best, we have to remember to do it with a certain amount of joy in our hearts for this particular product, which I'm proud to say I still have, and I've chosen to focus on some of the positives and hope that we can continue to criticize in a way where we hope that the WPCs of the NWA are listening to say, hey, this is the framework that we grew up in, the tradition, the legacy, the honor of the NWA, and that's kind of the tunnel that we'd like to see it in. So it was a thought that I had, and I just wanted to share. Apparently, for the first 20 minutes of this broadcast, I talked my own ear off. Thank you, Poyo. I appreciate that. There's a lot of stuff that I've missed here as I've been rambling. Lamb watched tables match. It was okay, but not really had the effect. Yeah, I didn't see the point really, other than to tell us that Mike Knox was having a table match with Bully Ray, but Bully Ray didn't, I don't know, do a run-in or show up or anything like that. So there you go. Willie says, just add locals and indie talents with the NWA roster. You have a great pro wrestling event in St. Louis. Yeah, I mean, arguably in some places that's what they've done. Chris says, listen, the NWA can be a successful niche product. I like most of the pay-per-views. Me too, man. Like the pay-per-views, we say on, I think all of us on this channel, they're really good. They are, you know, coming when they are put together. When they come together hard. Like it's the last one, Always Ready, which could have been a real you know, miss, was not for me. There were some matches on it that really stole the show, and some others that, you know, that really lived up to the hype as well. Rick Dos Santos here. Hey, Rick, good to see you. Lamb Sun Vu. Lamb, pay-per-view seemed to hit right. TV, well, it's a roller coaster from what I hear from NWA fans. It sure is. So I guess in my long rambling way, I just wanted to open the show by saying I really think it's important that we look at this as an opportunity to see some of the young and inexperienced talent. And while we're talking about, you know, all the things we hope that the NWA will improve upon, we do that with that, you know, the only word I can think of is joy as we move forward. I love the NWA. I love what it was. I like what it is. I want to love what it's going to become, what it continues to become. There goes my cat. And Poyo has to say, reminder, NWA tapings in Nashville immediately following NWA 74 pay-per-view this weekend in St. Louis. Some of those matches could jumpstart stories leading into those. Yes, that's important. Let's talk about that show right now. I am going to pull this thing up here. NWA 74. I thought maybe we might go through some of the matches quickly and participants, and then focus on some of the new people as well. There is a, hey, I'm over here. There is a pre-show match which has the Country Gentleman versus Gold Rush. I am a Marche Rocket fan, and I'm glad to see him back in the NWA. I hope that he gets back into the you know, the TV scene. Sorry, just looking at some of the comments. Lamb says, I really like how the NWA bringing in all these unknown talents to give them the spotlight. Yeah, you never know which one of them is the next guy. That's, yeah, exactly what I think Poyo was saying as well. The boss says, Poyo, thank you so much for jumping on this podcast as often as you do. I got to move this banner off of my face here. We're also going to get the Pope versus Rodney Mack. And, you know, I initially thought of this, and when I saw this, and I thought, well, you know, why? And I think somebody over on Brian Alvarez's podcast, whatever what that show is, I have a terrible memory. It said, you know, Drew McIntyre was fighting in WWE, and he classified as two guys just having a wrestling match because it's such a fresh new idea seemingly in the WWE right now. That's really what this could be. This could be a fight. These are two very talented guys coming together. We've got Matt Cardona. Jaden yesterday said it looks like he's fighting the what's his name, Jeff Goldblum in the silhouette here. But I mean, that's an interesting night one here, of course, and I don't know any particular order. But what's you know, what's that going to be like when it comes out? It's exciting. Who's he going to face? Probably some ideas. Throw yours in the chat. Willie does not like Matt Cardona. Willie, my friend, my brother, I like Matt Cardona. Sorry, buddy. Poyo loves hearing the feedback from the fans, and you know, feel free to like Jeremy is. Hey, Jer. You chat amongst yourselves right in the chat as well. This is such a collaborative environment. I really feel like the Alliance does an amazing job in doing that. Pope and Rodney, two veterans who want to get back in the Dern hunt. Yeah, it's exciting just to me, even if there's no belt. Let's just have that particular match. Let's see what happens. Let's get something started. Even perhaps more interesting, EC3, Ethan Carter III, former, I believe, two-time Impact World Champion, maybe a Grand Champion as well. I know he had the 24/7 title in the WWE years ago for a cup of coffee. He was an NXT guy. He was in ROH, and he had his time cut short by COVID. There, let me just get this comments down. Here we go. But he's an exciting name, and he's had feuds with guys like Mike Bennett comes to mind. I know he had a run-in with Brian Cage in Impact near the end of his run there, or one of his runs. It's all kind of a blur. I feel like he had a run-in with Tyrus at one point. Maybe you guys can confirm or deny that fact. And depending on what you listen to on the air, podcast wise, or what videos you watch, you can think whatever you want about Control Your Narrative. Which I believe that he started with Adam Scherr. And I'm not going to try to explain Control Your Narrative. I urge you to look it up, though. It's about empowerment and taking in your stuff into your own hands. But I would do their product a disservice if I were to try to do that. Poyo says EC3 is an exciting addition. He's someone very much still in his prime and who has so much to give. He could be an outstanding addition to the championship picture. Yeah, I think he's in his late 30s, which means he's got a lot left to give. I think he's also one of those guys who, if this is any kind of signal that he's stepping back into the mainstream, although I'm not sure we're the mainstream, he might not be around very long. Let's go back to some of the chats for a second. Chris Drummond. Cardona is one of the best things. The best thing to happen to WPC's NWA. I think it certainly had the potential to be, and I think that there's room for it to go further. I don't know that it did what Mr. Corrigan hoped it would do. I hope that it raised some numbers for him and made things go, his way. But yes, it was very exciting for the time, and I hope that it will be again. Heeb says he's still counting on Cardona versus Aldis, but Aldis hasn't posted NWA content since June on Instagram. I know he took, I believe he took the NWA, the @NWA bit off his Twitter account. Don't quote me, but it feels like that was there and now it's not. DKM says WWE blew it with EC3. Yeah, they did. Everybody blew it, I think, thus far with EC3. And he's trying to take charge of his own career. And there's certainly nothing wrong with that. Lamb says Bully Ray did an amazing job in his rivalry with Flip Gordon, but ROH blew that one. Yeah, I mean, I didn't follow it, but I'll take your word for it, Lamb. I'm a Lamb guy. I gotta get that T-shirt. Doty's here. Hey, Doty. Good to see you. So EC3 is an exciting addition from some of this new talent. Let's go through, while we still have time, into the Burke Invitational for night one, which Jay had said on the last podcast, I believe, it'd be kind of cool if, like, Empower sort of so Empower from last year, not coming back this year. So in sort of an honor of that, to have the women dominating night one would be kind of great. And I tend to agree. You've got Natalia Markova, a very skilled athlete and wrestler. Certainly makes sense that she's there. She needs to be given more, I think, to do and greater focus. Once again, while she's still with us, I think that she's destined for bigger things right now. Genocide, arguably, you could say the same. If we're talking about minor league teams, Angelina Love is probably, coming out of being a 7-time world champion elsewhere, which they love to tell us on NWA television. This might be a place for her to bounce back from as well. Maxie and Paler, I'm not much of a guesser when it comes to who's going to win events in wrestling. I am almost always wrong, but Max would be my pick to win the this event. Great talent, fun to watch, really, really interesting. Doesn't need the Sinister Minister, but hey, to each their own. Maddie Rinkowski, Maddie's on the show. We've seen her on Power in USA, at least one of those shows. She's a great talent, a great young talent. Missa Kate, I talked about earlier as when we started the show. If you go back and just recently and watch some of the women's matches, Missa Kate's outstanding in that 4-way. She was the best talent in it. Missa Kate is Chicago's sweetheart. She hasn't been wrestling very long. She and Maddie have been wrestling about 3 or 4 years each, I believe. And I think they've both had AEW Dark matches, or matches on AEW Dark, perhaps is the best thing to say. Let me just get through the rest of these. Tootie Lynn Ramsey's back. The Little Blue Dragon, I think she's called. We saw her at 73 last year for Empower. They introduced her when they were coming back to the Chase and got a big hometown pop at the time. And Samantha Starr, who we've talked about, being the daughter of Baby Doll and Sam Houston. So again, we have the opportunity as we wind down these, what's left in the can, as we say, for TV, to look at some of these exciting, fresh new talents. And that's kind of how I'm looking at it. Dodie says, Aldous talked much about the NWA when he's commentating Ric Flair's last match. He's also scheduled for NWA 74 and tapings. Yes, he is. So, I mean, I think we all kind of agree it's a bit of a work shoot right now. But one has to wonder. It's being done very well. I think it's one of the things that the NWA is doing very well. Jay says Markova's an assassin. Yeah, very surgical, very fun to watch. I love the presentation. I think she has great ability. Lamb says, really surprised that Empower didn't happen this year, but instead there was a Power episode which included the men's World Tag Team Championship match. Yeah, I mean, I am certainly not privy to why Empower didn't come back, but follow the money, as they say. It may have been that it didn't do very well. That may not also had nothing to do with it. It may be that it was it's owned by the Aldises right now. It's owned, I believe, by Mickie James, that title. It could be that because things with AEW talent, AEW is no longer happening, and we couldn't, or Impact maybe, and we couldn't get the talent to come over for that. And it's a shame, because whatever you think of NWA and Power, for me, it was one of the most important moments of last year. It was a company saying, we really believe in this, and everyone is welcome. And I am disappointed it didn't come back. this year. Oh, sorry, I think I'm going past a few. Hey, Genocide should do well, Willie says, in the Mildred Burke tournament. I hope so. Kylan King is booked, he says, was Tony Storm on Dynamite tomorrow. There you go. They won't hang around long, guys. Let's enjoy them while they're here. Dodie says most of this year's Cup participants are the NWA's own talents. You know, we've had discussions on this channel where maybe that's the way it should be. Differing opinions whether we should be having relationships with other promotions or not. I used to think we should. I'm not embarrassed to say that DKM kind of convinced me that maybe we shouldn't, but that's for another day. We've only got about 25 minutes left. Poyo says Natalya was out of action for all of last NWA TV season, so we didn't see much of her in recent months as we would have. That's good to know. You love Max and Father James Mitchell together. Yeah, you know, in that scene where the Miserably Faithful were all together, to me, though, I didn't feel like Max needed anybody. And I get why there's a manager and one that can, you know, certainly speak on their behalf with Max. But she chewed up the scenery in that group shot of Miserably Faithful. I really thought she is, or they, excuse me, were the, you know, the focus of that whole thing. So Jeremy's glad that Tootie's coming back. So is Poyo. Chris says it makes sense storyline for Empower not to happen. Mickey James owns the name. All this gone. I think that's a good side effect. I doubt it was done on purpose. And I think if we looked at the timeline, that probably wouldn't be the case. But you may be onto something. Heeb says that Missa Kate has some bangers and Heather versus Heather Reckless on the YouTubes. I'll have to look that up. I'm not familiar with Heather Reckless. But as I say, I think Missa Kate, it really has some talent. Jay says, I think that it's just Billy wanted to use the night to promote the entirety of the NWA. This would be about Empower. They can promote an all-women's pay-per-view anytime. Yeah, but I think that I would argue that having it annually at the same time is important for perception. And arguably in pro wrestling more than anywhere else, perception's reality. In terms of social response, Empower trended #2 in the USA. Okay. So the mystery remains then, but unless it comes out on Busted Open Radio or something like that, I doubt we will ever know. This is an interesting perspective. I like Max and Father James. I don't like Max and Miserably Faithful. Yeah, I can see that and I get it. Dave Scooby points out 12 matches for night 1, only 8 for night 2. That'll maybe even change. Like less than 2 weeks left. I think 11 days or so. We'll you know, we should get to some of those matches, but they may add to it. The rest of the ones for night 1. Let me take Dave's comment off there. Homicide, everybody's favorite Homicide NWA World Junior Heavyweight Championship match as the champ takes on Kerry Morton with Ricky Morton. That'll be interesting. Again, featuring some talent. Kerry has an upside. I think it's reasonable to assume that Kerry will find greater glory in the years to come. You know, Bully Ray and Mike Knox, arguably the most lead up to any match, as DKA pointed out the other week, in the NWA right now. You know, so that'll be interesting to see. World Tag Team Championship match, Commonwealth Connection versus La Rebellion. Again, I'm not a predictions guy, but if I were making one, I'd say the title's changing hands that night. And I think that's mostly because we need Harry Smith, and to an extent as well, Doug Williams in singles divisions. Um, Jack Stane is facing Scion this night. This is all night one, guys. This is like a lot of championship matches here, which I hope is headlined by the NWA World Women's Champion Kamille, the Brickhouse, taking on TAYA VALKYRIE. I listen to the Alliance Guys podcast very closely. There's some three very smart people on there, and one of them said, I think it was probably you again, DK. I'm giving you a lot of love tonight, my friend. Said, what he liked about this match is that there's a feeling like maybe I don't know who's going to win. So that's good. Let me go to the comments quickly. MS, you got 12 matches in night one and 8 in night two. Isn't that a bit too much? Maybe. Guess we'll find out. Kerry Morton built up to a title shot since NWA USA started. Yeah, he's come. They've kind of stretched this one out, and it's nice to see. Pollo agrees. Those bouts go south of the border. Yeah, I think so. DKM says for the Crockett Cup they had a few unannounced matches on night two. Did they? Yeah, maybe you're right. Yeah, I'm sure you are, but I don't remember. I mostly remember the old Crockett Cups where they had trouble putting together more than, the matches they had. Double count out, so you didn't have to have a whole, or double disqualifications, whatever they were. So you didn't have to have a whole round of matches. It was a bit sad, but that was the past. Let's look at night two. So we still haven't even talked about Powerrr. We got like 15 minutes left. Oh my gosh. Night two, the U.S. Tag Team Tournament should be featured there. I know that there's Mercurio versus Magic Jake. I assume that that's going to be early on the card. But these are two guys that they are featuring and have been featuring for a time. And again, young talent being given a place to practice their trade. This one I didn't get at all. Tom Latimer versus Judas. I might have blacked it out, but I don't remember any lead up to this at all. Tom Latimer to me is the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion in waiting. His time cannot be too far off. Not everybody apparently thinks he's fantastic. I do. I think his upside has basically no limit. This is really interesting. Of course, Pollo's here. Night two, Davey Richards. I see they've left an A out of his last name versus the Throwbilly Silas Mason with Pollo, of course, for the MLW National Openweight Championship. It's interesting to see MLW on the card. Again, it's kind of a bit out of the blue, and it'll be a fight. We're going to see if something springs from it. Just before I get to the comments and hopefully to some kind of Powerrr rundown, we're going to have Steve Corino. Oh my gosh, Colby Corino versus Caprice Coleman. Those are two. Colby has improved so much. He was pretty good coming in. I think he's getting really good right now. Caprice Coleman just continues to impress. Team Ambition, which I actually thought was a Davey Richards thing for a long time, in the United States Tag Team Tournament, along with Hawks Aerie, the Fixers. I might pick them as my particular favorite to win that event. Rough and Ready, who we have seen featured on the show a couple of times. Gold Rush, which I swear was Golden Rocket at one point, but I must be wrong. Miserably Faithful, represented by Sal the Pal and Gags the Gimp. We've got the Now, who I think are going to be great in the NWA. And the Ill-Begotten, Alex Taylor and Jeremiah Plunkett, who I would love to see win the titles that night. I see the comments piling up, but I want to get through this. We're also going to see Pretty Empowered. They are going to defend the NWA World Women's Tag Team Championship against former champions the Hex in a rematch. And of course, because we didn't get this, we got this. And I was originally not very happy about this, about Tyrus versus the NWA World Champion Trevor Murdoch. I have changed my tune over the past several weeks. I think it's refreshing. I think it has the potential to be a good 6-minute hoss fight. I think it's new. I would love, 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 love to see it be a title versus title match. I think that actually draws money. Let me go back to this now. Hopefully, yeah, you can read the great PWI write-up about Kamille versus TAYA. Yep. Let me see here. The old Crockett Cup was interpromotional, so nobody wanted their team to lose, so double count out. We should talk about that offline, because yes and no. There's a good point, but I think there's probably more to it than we could probably put in a chat. But someday we'll just get you right on the show. Maybe we can talk about that stuff. Your knowledge is incredible. Lamb says, Christy James being only a manager there is so weird. I assume she's injured, because, man, she can wrestle. Magic Jake needs a W in that match. Yep. Yeah, I would probably agree. I'm not sure who we're talking about for Roseville. Hello and welcome. That match doesn't make any sense. I know that this podcast is moving pretty quick right now. I'm strapped for time. We're all excited to see the Thrillbilly. Latimer's the man. Roseville says he and Dane should be going at it. Now that's a fight I would pay money to see. A lot of weird TV level undercard guy matches, says Heaves. Yeah, and again, like we had said at the start of the show, we can look at it one way or the other. And I think the shows are a great opportunity to showcase the talent. I wonder if the pay-per-views will turn out to be the same. I don't know. There's a lot more comments here. Poyo's saying, she's saying, I'm going out on a limb and saying we'll see some of night one carry into night two. You're probably right. And predicts that Latimer versus Dane is probably heading our way. Willie would like to see some affiliation with the NWA from All Japan or UWN. I tell you that'll never happen. UWN will never happen. If it does, hey, hell freezes over and the Eagles are playing again. Impact, you never know. Let's talk about, so this is what we're here for, the Hour Before Powerrr. Let's talk about what is on this particular show today. If I can find it, here we go. The headliner for this match, for this card, the show, for me, is the Brickhouse Kamille in a singles match. I assume a non-title match against Hayley Shadows. I don't know Hayley Shadows. I looked her up. She's had some OVW and WWE exposure. She's wrestled in a lot of places. She's an Emerge champion for a while. All I could really find is she had a victory over Tootie Lynn Ramsey a few years back, but 9 years in the business and trained by Nick Dinsmore. That's got to say something, just by that name alone. We have coming out of the can, Tim Storm versus, not Tim Storm coming out of the can, but just out of the TV can. Tim Storm versus Larry D. So Larry D, Impact journeyman, a journeyman wrestler is how he's been described. He was an IWA Mid-South guy, I believe a champion over there for a while years ago. 6 feet tall, 330 pounds. That's nuts. But we're talking like a 20-year career from this guy. And he's really picked up, according to Cage Match anyway, and Cage Match, which is a great resource, cagematch.net, guys. It's not always perfect, doesn't capture every match or card, but it really shows that he's picked it up, unless they've just started covering it over the last several years. I know he's been in Impact, and he's done some GCW work, and tagged with Ace Romero, right? In over the last Triple XL, I think is what they're called. So again, another couple of names in Hayley Shadows and Larry D coming into filling some of this. If we're filling this gap right before the pay-per-view where we don't have all these strong matches, we're bringing in fresh new talent. I say we because I'm emotionally invested in the NWA. Also tonight we have Rylee, who we saw a week or two ago, Paola Blaze versus Chelsea Green and Angelina Love. Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed Rylee and Blaze. Unfortunately, sat on the. It was a funny bit sitting out doing a live Instagram while the match was going on, a live Instagram feed. But Rylee was good, and I thought it was great. Let me just get this last one in. It's Blk Jeez versus the Red Dog, Rodney Mack with Aron Stevens. Look, these are two very talented guys for, very much the in different ways. And I don't know if this style is going to work very, very well, but Rodney Mack is very aggressive. Aron lends a certain level of chaos to right now with his persona to any given event, any given match that the Red Dog might be in. So that's what we're looking at Powerrr tonight. Again, some young talent and some some old favorites coming together as they've sort of blitzed out this week. Every last match counts in the leading up to NWA 74. Let's go back to with the time we have left to the chat again. Thank you guys so much for engaging this much. This has been very helpful. Tootie Lynn Dodie says was trained by Davey Richards and Michael Alkin. Okay. Yeah. I know she has another persona, mask persona, or she did for a while too. I want to say spirit, but I think it was the Japanese word for, or perhaps a Spanish word. Poyo says it's a non-title exhibition match for the women. Yeah, and as it should be. And there's nothing worse than seeing a young talent coming in and someone's defending the title against this person for no particular reason. So I think that's bang on the way it should be. Lamb says Tim Storm back in action. Feels like it's been forever since his last match. I think it was that one where he was given permission to go after the 10 pounds of gold again, where he lost it on Aldis and got himself disqualified. So Larry D. Poyo says he's a big boy, so taking on Tim Storm is going to be a hoss fight. Yeah, 6 feet tall, not bad. 330, like, oh my goodness. Was surprised to see Larry D at the tapings. Very nice fellow. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, I was surprised to hear he was coming on Powerrr. And this is a good point Jay brings up here. This isn't just a bunch of Team War shit. Well, I would put the positive spin on that. I'm in a positive mood clearly tonight by saying yes, but also it's singles matches. We're seeing singles matches. There's no three-way dances. There's no four-way matches. It's nice to see. Here's like, hey, here's two guys or gals who are just going to fight because it's that's what wrestling's all about. And not putting them in any of this kind of this team war, you're in, you're out, top rope, tag in, don't tag in, I don't know, is refreshing. I agree with the boss. Poyo says Rylee Rocket is such a great young talent. She really is. Can anyone tell me the name of the other woman who was on Powerrr the other week who was she had a singles match as well, and she was really impressive, as Rylee Rocket was. Oh, and let me get to Dodie in a sec. Seishin, thank you. Spirit. Yes, thank you, Jeremy. Appreciate that. Dodie says Mike Outlaw and Camaro Jackson are hot talents in the St. Louis area. So there's that down home connection. Mostly in Glory Pro and St. Louis Anarchy. But Billy picks the best of Team Ambition to pair them. Oh, okay, I get it now. Thank you for explaining that to me. But they have experience working as tag. I don't know if you like Team War or not, Lamb, with that particular comment. Let me just see if I've missed any. Dodie had said in the past here, I don't see a point. He doesn't see a point in doing title versus title. Trevor doesn't need to be a TV champion when he has the bigger prize. Yes, but if you're selling show, and nor have I ever been a wrestling promoter, so I can only guess what happens. To me, well, you know what? As a fan, I'll talk to you as a fan. If it's Trevor Murdoch, NWA World Championship against NWA World Television Champion Tyrus for the NWA title, that's not something that super excites me. If it's for both, take my money. My brother Dave Scoopy said a while ago, wouldn't it be cool just to have Trevor 2 belts? Yeah, it would. And give up the TV title, and then that's a way that Tyrus never lost the TV belt, or however it might happen. But there you go. It would not be a show, an alliance show, if Willie Bowen did not make a Tyrus joke. Tyrus will win because of a loud belch. Willie. Poyo says the NWA has less than 90 minutes each week to showcase an entire roster, or sometimes Team War and multi-person matches get more faces on your screen. Your point is taken. I will think about that as I move forward. But I would rather see, if there are 10 faces that the company wants me to see, I would rather see 5 of them in doing tag team or singles matches than any other combination of the 10 thereof. Dodie misses the championship series, had storyline building, and I don't know why. I really don't know why it was abandoned as much as it is, but okay, thanks, Jay. That is it, though. It is the end of the show. I appreciate you guys. There's so many of you tonight being here in advance of the pre-party. I hope everybody enjoys it, and everybody is tuning in not only to NWA Powerrr and NWA USA this coming Saturday, but also to the Other Alliance Guys podcast tomorrow night at what time are we on? Well, we're in the evening. We'll put it up on social media, and of course the OG Alliance Guys on Thursday. Don't know if Jay will be back for that or not, but hopefully they will. And stay tuned, and until next time, we'll see you at...
Thanks for joining the stream. This has been a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. before NWA Powerrr. You can find us on social media at The Alliance Blog, and until next time, we are The Alliance.